Yavin 4 is the fourth moon orbiting the giant gas planet Yavin in an outer rim star system of the same name. It is lush and semi-tropical. Most of the landmasses are jungle-like, with large ravines, valleys and gorges gouged into the volcanic rock by wide rivers and quickly running streams. Once home to the Misasi, whose ancient temples still dot the landscape, Yavin 4 hosts diverse and exciting flora and fauna. Plants such as the blue leaf shrub, the climbing fern, the nebula orchid, and the grenade fungi, along with the stately Misasi trees, provide shelter and foundation for the moon's complex and fairly savage food chain. Woolamanders, cinterals, whisper birds, runyips and piranha beetles are just a few examples of the fascinating and generally dangerous creatures inhabiting the landscape. The fauna on Yavin 4 is so profuse that, to study it, all one has to do is sit quietly in one place and soon several of the participants in this biological parade will appear before you. Semi-intelligent, primate-like mammals, woolamanders live in troops of up to 20 individuals in the upper reaches of the Misasi trees. Males have loose throat pouches for morning vocalizations. Round pot bellies accommodate digestion and fermentation of largely fruit-based diet. Females give birth to one young at a time. Young are breastfed and cradled in their mother's powerful front claws. Woolamanders are constantly alert, always on the lookout for packs of cinterals, their main predator. These rapacious tree-dwelling rodents swarm together to overtake prey. Always on the move, even their young are born in transit. Their metabolisms are extremely high. Cinterals must eat often or they will starve to death in a couple of hours. Hungry cinterals will turn on each other as an last resort, cannibalizing the weaker among them. Avians with brilliant plumage, whisper birds are so called for their silent flight and low, sweet song or call. Both a tree and waterfowl, small flocks feed on fishes and weeds. The runyip is a large, stubborn herbivore that roots and feeds on decomposing forest mulch and in the shallows of streams, rivers and lakes. Grumpy in temperament, it emits loud grunts, squawks, squeals and sighs as it feeds. Flying, carnivorous insects, piranha beetles swarm over prey, stripping off every shred of flesh in minutes. It has 3 sets of slashing jaws that work alternately and in tandem. Crustaceal mollusk that fishes for underwater prey by dangling root-like tentacles claws below water's surface. This amphibious reptile FAS a molecular structure that loosens underwater. Body cells become porous and amorphous, held together randomly by a subtle electric current. In this state it can pass through anglers' clutches. Regains solidity back on land. It has an amorphous underwater form that is also called mucus salamander. A medium-sized predator, the aquatic gundark stalks the shallows of streams and lakes for runyips and whisper birds. It has multiple sets of eyes allow simultaneous vision above and below the water. Bespin, the most isolated and remote planet in a system of the same name, is a large gas giant with a solid metal core where temperatures can reach up to 400 degrees. Luckily for wildlife watchers, a life-sustaining cloud layer extends above this overheated nucleus. This life zone, which is itself divided into several layers, is characterized by its lack of terrestrial structures, copiousness of cloud forms, variety of floating vegetation, spectral colors, constancy of temperature, and abundance of fauna. Many of the more highly developed creatures have aerodynamic musculatures and/or buoyant anatomies for maneuvering among the winds and thermals. Many siphon nutrients and moisture directly from the atmosphere. A good percentage have unique epidermal glow spots that cause the night skies of Bespin to become luminous, dotted with the light from all that move through the ether like small twinkling stars. Enormous, 800 to 10,000 meters in diameter gas-filled creatures that metabolize the natural chemicals and biospheric planktons of the slushy gas-liquid-solid interface, via long, trailing tentacles, of Bespin's lower atmosphere. They travel together in free-floating herds. Eggs and sperm are released into the atmosphere and drift like plankton until random fertilization occurs. Excrete tabana gas, which can be collected and used as hyperdrive coolant. Large, airborne ichthyids, Velkers form large packs to prey upon Beldans. They select a victim and rip holes in its skin, feeding upon it as it deflates and descends. A single Beldan can sustain hundreds of Velkers for Mantha until it sinks into the poisonous lower atmosphere. The egg producer sends dozens of eggs out into the atmosphere. An electrical field surrounds their bodies, which help Velkers attack and disable small spacecraft if they are approached too closely. Scavenger predator mammavians, rocks inhabit raft of floating algal trees and the crumbling edifices of abandoned cloud cities. Rocks construct basket-like nests out of algal strands. Fractious males perch on top of nests for protection. Feather-like fur covers their agile and aerodynamic frames. They are quick hunters and superb aerialists, darting easily after various floaters that appear at dawn or twilight. Floater is the umbrella term for the thousand of small, usually winged creatures that drift or swim plankton-like in the upper reaches of Bespin's atmosphere. Many are not yet classified. Most are egg layers continually releasing sacs of roe into the atmosphere, which often gum up the viewports of incoming freighters. Floaters and the sky alga upon which they feed form the bottom of the food chain. The forest moon of Endor is a planet-sized satellite dotted with lush ancient timberlands, verdant woods and thick wealds. It circles the planet Endor, a silvery gas giant in the model sector. Water is plentiful in most areas on this moon, and though the low gravitational field juxtaposed with the massive pull from the central planet allows the vegetation, and some creatures, to grow quite large, most of the wildlife on the forested moon consist of humble creatures inhabiting their various niches with industriousness, complacency and restraint. Most are herbivores with characteristic strong teeth and jaws to crack the hard nuts and chew the thick-skinned berries of the forest. Many gather and store food and several hibernate during the two winter-like seasons that bisect the typical five-season year. The primitive yet highly organized Ewoks make their home here, and their friendship and collaboration are a benefit to all travelers. Blurgs are tough-skinned reptilian herbivores known chiefly for their small brains and simple intelligence. They are used by the Moraders as beasts of burden. Brain the size of a juba nut, it has a dense skull used as battering ram. Eggs, laid 5 or 6 at a time, are left where they drop, on the ground or in the bushes. Young stay within their mother's protective circles during early years. They are preyed upon by boar wolves and are objects of derision in Ewok culture and folklore. Very vicious, giant, mammalian carnivores, boar wolves prey on anything that comes across their path. They usually hunt in pairs. They have been semi-domesticated as pet by the giant Gorax, a savage cave-dwelling terror. Large flying reptavians that nest in caves, canyons and on crags, condor dragons are carnivorous, both nocturnal and diurnal, and prey upon small, to medium-sized creatures and beasts. Large condor dragons have been known to snatch Ewoks off pony backs. However, a mounted Ewok has a better chance of escape, as most will perceive pony and rider as one beast and too heavy to lift. Launches itself from high buttresses and hunts in a spiral swoop. Spine-tingling screech often accompanies attack. They also prey upon giant cave spiders as well as many other creatures. Geejaws are inquisitive reptavians, known for their wide variety of calls and mimicry. Build nests and lay several eggs at a time. Both parents care for helpless chicks. Tempters, forest-dwelling amphibians, use their furry, lure-like tongues to draw rodents, birds and other forest animals toward their hidden and awaiting jaws. Tempters have pale, fleshy skin covered with thick mucus which allows them to slither into light spots and then strike prey in a flash after luring it with their tongue. Common prey of the tempter, a rugger is a rodent that makes its home high in the trees or in the grasslands. A herbivore, it eats nuts and berries and hibernates during the cold winter seasons. Coruscant, known as the jewel of the core worlds because of its social, political, economic and artistic importance, is a completely urbanized planet, its surface covered by one enormous, multi-leveled city. There are varied temperature zones here, cooler poles, hot tropics, but the planet's dense developmental pattern has homogenized them a bit. Aside from some small parks and a handful of large estates, no wilderness areas truly exist, and as a result, most of Coruscant's native species long ago died off. The sprawling architecture mimics natural ecosystems to some degree, allowing for the development of phantom ecologies basically occupied by animals and niches brought to Coruscant from other worlds or mutated from original species. There is a high level of industrial pollution on Coruscant, and many species have adapted to it, such as by developing immunities. Though the high level of intergalactic wildlife trading creates havoc in natural ecosystems, it provides a unique vantage point from which to observe the vast array of interstellar creatures and species. Granite slugs, duracrete worms and shadow barnacles are silicon-based invertebrates that feed upon bewheeling structures. They are very destructive, annually causing millions of credits worth of damage. This small terrestrial mollusk leaves a corrosive acidic slime wherever it travels. A large, 3 to 5 meters long, slow-moving helmet, or parasitic worm. Duracrete worm occupied the lower portions of boodlings, eating through foundations and plumbing. They reproduce by parthenogenesis. This small crustacean anchors to boodlings by feeder roots through which it absorbs nutrients. It retracts into shell when threatened. It reproduces by releasing egg seeds and sperm pollens into air. Predatory reptavians, hawkbats ride the malls rising from the bowels of the city, thought to be the only native Coruscant species left in existence. Hawkbats are officially protected because they feed upon destructive silica parasites. Vision detects an extremely wide spectrum, including ultraviolet, infrared and beyond. The dull green-gray of granite slug slime appears bright yellow to the hawkbat. It uses wing and tail membranes to scoop prey from vertical walls. It lays flexible shelled, leathery eggs that conform to ledges and cornices. An immature hatchling is scaly and ugly but fully independent and able to hunt upon birth. When the young hawkbat reaches adult size, it anchors itself to a building crevice, its skin splits and the adult hawkbat emerges. It eats old skin and then flies off to reach for prey and a mate. These giant, up to 3 meters and 300 kilograms, nearly skinless, rapacious rodents inhabit the lower reaches and sewers. Their origin is unknown. Mutant rats travel in packs and construct nests with litters of 10 pups or more. These rats happily feed on duracrete worms, their only benefit to residents of Coruscant. They are otherwise feared and despised. Homeless and fugitive residents who wander the lower levels of Coruscant often fall victim to roving packs of mutant rats or hungry dianogas. Large mollusks found throughout the universe, dianogas are used by many in sewage treatment. Origin believed to be the planet Vodron. Favors warm, watery environments, but can survive radical shifts in temperature, meluding boiling. Impervious to pollution. Dianogas are hermaphroditic and lay large clusters of self-fertilized, jelly-like eggs. They will consume anything, living or dead, even their own eggs.